How much money do you actually have to really retire in America in 2026 and beyond? What's the number? No, it's not about a number. We're gonna do real math to show you why the number that you need is not what you think it is. How do you pay for a lifestyle? I want you to think about this. First, we have to break it into core segments. And I actually made notes on this because this one is so important that you get it exactly right. So when you think about the real cost of retirement, you have to break down what I call the first section. This is your housing, your health care, your food, insurance, taxes, no. And then travel and the inflation impact. Now, when I put all these in here, housing, healthcare, food, insurance, taxes, travel, inflation, what am I really looking at? Well, this is the stuff that most people are going to want to do when they retire. Well, food is something everybody's going to want to do, I would think. But this is your household expenses. This is our spending plan of what it takes us to get from the 1st to the 31st. And during those 31 days, actually have a little fun. Now, when I think of travel, like for me, this might be going to North Myrtle Beach. Yes, I want to go to Europe. Yes, I want to go to other places. But the fundamental part is I want to always know that my core expenses, which should include a couple trips a year to Myrtle and the beach and things like that, I kind of get my heart right when I go to the beach. So big travel might not be in this core part of it. It may come from another part of our plan, but at least the kind of travel that gets us out of the house, gets us doing things. Think about this, if you're blessed to have grandchildren, I don't have them yet, but if you're blessed enough to have grandchildren, you want to be able to buy them gifts for the birthdays, you want to be able to take them places, spend on them, do those kind of things. Well, that should come out of your core budget. So housing costs, well, you've got your house paid for, let's say. Okay, now, I disagree when people say your house must be paid for. Your house must be affordable inside of your payment plan, but I see many people choosing to not have a home in retirement and they actually rent. What? That's crazy. What, do they not do well in life? No, these are very high net worth people that have done well. They choose to rent. I think about a particular client that is currently renting a place down in downtown Charlotte, and they're like in a penthouse floor, and they're paying like $7,000, $8,000 a month for some crazy nice apartment. You say, well, that's crazy. No, it's not, because that amount fits in their core spending plan. So when you talk about real math in this section, we have to budget for the household, we have to budget for health care, and I'm going to scare you a little later about how much health care might be for an average 65-year-old couple. It's going to knock your socks off, but let's not get there yet. We have to think about food. When I think about food, I want that to include, for me, a couple nights out at a good restaurant. Now, not every week, let's say, but I want to go to Steak 48 in Charlotte a couple times a month. That's going to cost a little money. I just happen to like the place. I want a good steak. I'll cook at home a lot because I enjoy that, but I'm still going to want a budget going out. So we have to have that in there. Insurance, okay? This is all the stuff that we need. Now, when you think about insurance, obviously you're retired. Let's say you're already on Medicare and things like that. But there is other types of insurance we need. We have to keep our home insured, our cars insured, and other things we have for our own health. So we have to break into that. Taxes. Now, this is a big one when you think about taxes, because where's the money coming from that you're paying this core part of your retirement with? Is it coming out of IRAs? Have we prepared for that? And then the impacts of inflation and, of course, travel. So let's say a person looks at this part of their plan and they realize they're going to need $8,000 a month to really do a good job. Well, if they put $8,000 on a piece of paper like I just wrote here, and then they go, well, Mark, I've already got $4,000 coming in from Social Security for my wife and I. Okay, awesome. So now we have a $4,000 income gap. That's an income gap. Okay, great. So we already know that. Here's where we talk about retirement lifestyle. Now, remember, we've got our core plan done. We did that in segment 1. We know $8,000 a month kind of makes us pretty happy. I mean, it's not getting us to Italy every year and things like that, but it's making us have a nice, comfortable living. We're okay. We want to thrive in retirement. So we're doing okay. Maybe not quite thriving yet, but we're doing pretty darn good. When we think about this retirement lifestyle, we have to think about what we want here. Do we want a minimal lifestyle? Do we want a comfortable, like middle class type lifestyle? Or are we doing upper middle class or this? Well, I like to change the way this was written, and I want to think about it differently. I want you to think about the early years of retirement. Let's say you were able and blessed to be able to retire at 60. Well, I tend to believe 60 to 70, probably going to be better years than 70 to 80. Not that 70 to 80 is bad, but probably not as fun as 60 to 70. Or let's use a more typical modern retiree at 65. Okay, 65 to 75, pretty good years. 75 and 85, probably slowing down a little bit. So I actually labeled these the go-go years, 65 to 75, the slow-go, 75 to 85, and then the no-go. Well, think about back to what these people talk about when they say a minimalist lifestyle or a minimal lifestyle, a comfortable lifestyle, typical middle class, or an upper middle class kind of thing. I think of it differently. I think about I want to do more from 65 to 75. So that means I'm going to need to budget or have in my spending plan extra money to include the heavier travel lifestyle that I'm going to have from 65 to 75. And then I'm going to decrease that from 75 to 85 in the slow-go years. And then I'm going to completely remove that other than the regular cost of inflation on my core expenses. So now let's look at this. Let's take that math again. See that 8,000 we had? Let's add in this example, another 1,000 a month. Now it's not going to be spent every month, but 12,000 a year for the years from 65 to 75. Let's see if we could budget in our spending plan for an extra 12,000 of expenses during those earlier years. And then during the slow-go years, let's take that 12,000 down to say 6,000, cut it in half. And then the no-go years, it's completely removed. Now, when you do this, all of a sudden, if we do it monthly, our monthly income from 65 to 75 goes up 1,000 a month to 9,000 a month between 65 and 75. And then between 75 and 85, it drops to 8,500 a month, just an extra 6,000 a year. And then 85 on, it's back to the original 8,000 adjusted for inflation. All right, now we go into this math model. The first thing I want you to get out of your head is this 4% rule. It's DOA, dead on arrival. The author has already said it doesn't work anymore. This idea that you can have $1 million and retire on 4% a year and never run out of money is absolutely ludicrous. Wall Street will not save you. In this model that we've just created, this hypothetical model, here's what I want you to think about. This income gap. If we know we need 8,000 or early we need 9,000 and then that slows down, here's how I want you to look at it. If you had this quote portfolio, let's say this portfolio has $1.5 million in it, okay? Let's do that. And we were to carve out, let's say 700,000 and give that to a company that will fill this income gap for us. When I say fill the income gap, a pension company that'll take the IRA, keep it an IRA, not change the tax classification, but now they'll guarantee to pay this company out of that 700,000, $4,000 a month for life, adjusted for inflation, after taxes, whatever. But we've just filled the income gap. So now, in this example, that still leaves us 800,000, quote, managed in the markets in Wall Street, having our fun with it. All right, well, here's what just happened. We have Social Security coming in, and we have this $4,000 pension that comes in. So every month we receive $8,000 a month on the first of the month. Okay, pays all our bills. But Mark, I'm in my go-go years and I want an extra 1,000 a month. Okay, well, we've still got a portfolio in Wall Street that we can take this extra 1,000 a month from to satisfy us in these early years. Very low withdrawal rate. Take it out of a portfolio. We could have multiple portfolios for different reasons. We'd want this in a very non-volatile portfolio, so it's never up or down a lot. We would like the up a lot part, but to get up a lot, you're gonna have to risk down a lot. We don't want that part on this part. So we just budget a small amount of the money into a portfolio that allows us to take $1,000 a month withdrawals to give us the $9,000 we want from 65 to 75 in this example. Then we have that portfolio cutting down to where it's now paying us $500 extra a month, and it doesn't have to come monthly. There's no reason for that. It could just come $6,000 a year. Or if you decide not to take the trip that year, it doesn't have to come. But think about this. Think about how retirement works at this point. Markets don't cooperate. We have an '08 event. Markets are down 25%, 30%. So your $800,000 has just dropped. We might want to put off the travel. Now, if we had this in a very low volatile or even a cash-based portfolio or something, it wouldn't matter. You could still do it in those early years. But your money in Wall Street is down and you're not happy, but you're still living large in retirement because you have an income, a paycheck that you can't outlive. Remember, between Social Security and the pension you created for yourself, you have an income plan that you can't outlive, and it satisfies your basic needs of retirement, including, in this example I used, going to the beach, taking care of grandkids, and doing other things. And you accomplished all that by moving some money away from Wall Street while keeping Wall Street fully involved in your plan so you could make market returns that would beat inflation. But it was also money that if it was down, you didn't have to rely on it because you had created a paycheck for yourself. Here's the point of the question we asked at the beginning. It's not about a number. It's about a paycheck. When we can turn whatever number you've created into guaranteed monthly income, everything else, that big number that's in Wall Street, becomes just that, everything else. It allows you to do retirement with a confident financial future. Hey, hit that like and subscribe button so I can get more content out just like this to you, and it helps the algorithm, and we'd appreciate it. Stay tuned for more.